Hello everybody, day 5 of spiritual healthcare. Hopefully we get lots of people logging on here pretty soon, and lots to talk about today because again it's day 5, so lots of questions and whatnot have come in, so we're going to be getting to those shortly. Of course, as always, I've got some tools for you guys, some processes to help with some of the fear of what is going on right now, and some offered some understanding as to what that fear is, because I think a lot of people are having trouble putting their finger on what that is, which is something that as in paranormal research and things like that we have to deal with quite frequently. People just struggling with not being able to figure out exactly why they're afraid, because it's easy to point at something if you've got an attacker or somebody who is bothering you or harassing you or something like that. You can point your finger at it and go, hey, wait a minute, I know, I can see this person, I can point my finger at them and blame them for it. And in a situation like this, and a situation with paranormal research and hauntings, like negative hauntings, what happens is that you don't have anybody to point physically at, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. What is the fear that everybody is experiencing right now? How does it relate to the paranormal? And we're going to talk a little bit we're going to answer a few questions about empathy and empaths. So we're going to have a really good discussion about that as well. I'm really excited about this. And I have a really awesome to-do for you guys if you guys are bored at home. I have a really awesome to-do for you guys a little bit later, and I posted it actually on the Entity Seeker Facebook page a little bit ago, and I think a chunk of you guys saw it, but I'm going to bring it up again because it is just the coolest thing. And for those of you guys who can't, obviously none of us can travel right now, but for those of you guys who can't travel or haven't been traveling, this is a really good one. So a fun way to explore some paranormal places where you might not have been able to get in or see before. So I noticed lots of people are finally joining. That's awesome. It's good to see everybody. This is, as I say, today is going to be really great, and I'm really excited about all of this. And the question actually came in, or a couple of questions actually came in from Twitter. If any more of you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments. Hey Kenneth, and we'll get this going, get everybody talking. You guys are always so quiet. It's so funny. You don't have to be quiet. You can chat. It's all good. So first thing I want to do is get to some questions. There was a few that came in that were just absolutely great. Let me pull them up here. And the first one actually came from Shadow on Twitter, and her question is really good. Hey Danny. She asked, how do I keep my spirits up when I feel empathetic to all those around me who are scared and suffering? I've tried grounding, but I want to help others and I feel helpless. So this, I think, is something that a lot of people are going through right now. What can I do? How can I help? How can I, where can I put my emotions? Because I think a lot of people right now are feeling like their emotions are kind of homeless. Normally, hi Nigel. Normally, what we do in situations where there's been chaos or tragedy or something like that is we want to race to help, right? And we see a lot of this in haunting situations as well, is that people, they want to go and fix it somehow. And unfortunately, in situations like this, the problem, of course, that we run into is there really isn't anything that the individual can run out and physically do to make the situation better. Our power is in staying at home, and our power is in, being diligent about ourselves and washing our hands and all this kind of thing. So in haunting situations, we see the same thing. We see the same paradigm going on, where we have people just that are looking for a thing to do. They're looking for things to go and help with. And they can't. There's no physical answer other than turning around and looking inwards. So I think with something like this, and especially when we're dealing with somebody who's very, very empathetic, we start to have to look at situations where what can you be doing right now for you? What can you do? How can you bring yourself inwards to pay attention to what you're feeling, to pay attention to where you're at emotionally? Because sometimes I think what happens, especially with empaths that I've noticed quite often, is the fact that they kind of get pulled, right, from one direction to another direction to another direction. And depending on who they're with as well, this becomes a big issue. So I think this time, whether you're, as I say, you're dealing with a haunted home or you're dealing with something like a virus, like what we're dealing with right now, we have to be able to start to look inwards, and that is not easy for a lot of people. Sometimes I think we get very drawn in also to the idea of if I keep busy helping other people, then guess what happens? Then we're not actually paying attention to how we're doing and how we're feeling. So that's another thing that, hello to everybody watching that's just tuned in, that's awesome. Say hi in the comments and let us know you're here. So I think that's something that we really have to start paying attention to, is the fact that this situation is forcing us to turn inwards. And, being an empath and things like that, there are things that you can be doing. We are not powerless in this situation. And yesterday we talked about the idea of surrender, and that surrender is not this. Surrender is this, right? So we have to remember that there's a lot of power in stillness. There's a lot of power in looking after ourselves. And in order to be there for the people around us, especially if we have a loved one that ends up falling ill or something like that, we have to have our cup full. Okay, we can't be letting all these different energies kind of pull us one way or the other. We just can't afford to be doing that. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to be able to sit down and really concentrate on how we're feeling, getting ourselves up to speed, staying connected, whatever it is for you, meditation, maybe it's going for a walk away from people. Maybe it's, watching some funny TV programs. I mean, I'm a huge Bob's Burgers fan, so I've been having Bob's Burgers on like often because it makes me laugh. It doesn't matter how many times I see the damn episodes, it makes me laugh. So Bob's Burgers is on in my house all the time. But yeah, so she asked, how do I keep my spirits up when I feel empathetic to those who are around me are scared and suffering? And that is really the core of this, is to be able to keep your emotional state up here so that you can call others to you. Okay, you can't be sick enough or unhappy enough or unhealthy enough to make somebody well or make somebody happy or it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So that's what I would suggest. I'm so glad I got that question because it is just so important. And it leads to something else as well. I think, we're talking a lot about checking in with ourselves, and it's something that clients that I tell my clients to do all the time, which is find a way to check in with yourself and remind yourself to do that. So for example, if you are, say you're going to associate checking how you feel with checking the time, right? Because we do that frequently. We're looking at our phones and we're checking our time. So if every single time you check the time, right? Time means check how I feel. Time means check how I feel. That's what you got to do. So I think that's a really, really great way to start to pay attention to that. Time means check how I feel, right? So we can start to work with those different aspects of it, and to start to check in with ourselves, and to start to figure out, how we're doing individually, because it's so easy right now, I think, to get caught up, right, with so much of the stuff that's going on. We're getting bombarded by news. I don't know about you guys, but I've not been busier here. I really have. It's crazy. It's like I've got all the, there's more projects on the go. People are phoning. It's nuts. So, it's easy to get kind of swept up in that. And you guys might be experiencing the same thing as well. So being able to sort of pull back and take some time and say, hey, wait a minute. So the next question I thought was really interesting. And it came from a person who messaged me on Instagram that didn't want to be named, so I won't. But they asked about what is often when it comes to a haunting situation or a negative haunting situation, and a situation like this where the obstacle in front of us is something we can't actually see, what is that feeling? What is the fear? What is going on? Because there's really, they can't put their finger on it. And I would like to suggest that fear is actually grief. And I'll tell you why I suggest this. I think there's something in psychology called anticipatory grief, okay? And anticipatory grief is like when you're expecting, say for example, a loved one to pass away, or you're expecting a normal to change, or you're expecting, or you're seeing the normal change, okay? Or you've lost a job or something like that. There's this anticipatory fear and grief that can happen. And I think if we start to look at some of this in this process, that we're going to be experiencing those stages, just like a client in a home that it's, they're afraid in. If we start to look at this situation in the same way, then I think that begins a very core healing process for a lot of people. I really do. I think that concept and being able to look at it, wait a minute, I deserve to go through a grieving period, because you're right, there's not going to be the same normal after this is done. We're gonna have to pick up from this, and things are going to change, just in the same way that when 9/11 happened, processes at the airport changed and things weren't the same after that. So I think the idea of approaching this as grief, knowing that this will pass, knowing that we will heal from this, all of that will be of great benefit, to sort of just giving ourselves a bit of a break, right? Give ourselves an emotional break. So I've got a awesome reading for us today that I think is super applicable. And I absolutely fell in love with this when I read it, and it's from Eckhart Tolle, okay? Oneness with All Life, which is an awesome book, and it's selections from his book, A New Earth, which is phenomenal. And I keep raving about it, but it really is phenomenal. It's really good. All right, so check this out. Is it possible to let go of the belief that you should or need to know who you are? In other words, can you cease looking to conceptual definitions to give you a sense of self? Can you cease looking to thought for an identity? The more you make your thoughts into your identity, the more cut off you are from the spiritual dimension within yourself. Defining yourself through thought is limiting yourself. When you fully accept that you don't know, you actually enter a state of peace and clarity that is closer to who you truly are than you thought you ever could be. And I love that, because I think so much of, as I say, what's happening right now is about understanding that connection with all that is non-physical right now. And in the same way that I would coach somebody who was experiencing a haunting, I would encourage people to kind of take their labels off of themselves. I am a banker, or I am a runner, or I am a basketball player, or I am a TV host, or I am. Take those labels off of yourself, because if that starts to crack, right? If that starts to crack, not only do you lose not only have you lost your connection with that non-physical part of this world, but you're really setting yourself up for failure, and you're setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. So I think this is something that's so important, and being able to turn around and be flexible, learn how to redefine yourself, figure it out. What did you want to do? What will be the new normal? It doesn't have to be bad. This new normal can be better than what you had, right? So let's try to figure that part out. Let's take the labels off of ourselves. Stop defining yourselves by the job. The older generation oftentimes has a real problem with this, okay? They've got a real problem with this because they've been taught, I am this one thing. And when that job or that identity gets taken away, that label gets taken away, they really struggle. That's why a lot of people that go into retirement also go into depression, okay? Because they don't know what to do with themselves. It's like, okay, I was a construction worker and now I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Who am I if I'm not the construction worker? Well, there's a lot more to you than just the labels. So take take the label off. So one of the process that I want to give you guys today is so great. It's from Ask and It Is Given, okay, which is an amazing book by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this process is really about affirmations and well-being. So I want to offer you guys some affirmations that they've given that I think are absolutely brilliant for health, for wellness, whether you're dealing with worries about the virus or something going on in the house or whatever. So I want to give you this. It is natural for my body to be well. Okay? Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve their individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now, which I think is true for everybody. If I had known then what I know now, maybe I wouldn't be as sick as I am right now. I don't need to understand the cause. I only have to gently, eventually, release the illness. It doesn't matter how it got started because it's reversing its course right now. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. I'm in very good hands. I will relax now to allow communication between my body and source. My only work is to relax and breathe. I can do that, and I can do that easily. So those are a few, I think, there are a few affirmations that I think are so applicable for right now. Something you guys, as I say, can write down. I highly recommend, if you've got the ability to download ebooks or anything like that, do download Ask and It Is Given. It is an absolutely brilliant book, and it is so chock full of things that you guys can do, things that you guys can implement now. And I highly recommend it. Ask and It Is Given. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys some to-dos as well before I go, and so this is so neat. So this made me so happy when I saw this. The Paris Catacombs have a online virtual tour. I know, that was the look on my face too. They have an online virtual tour, and it's so cool. I'm going to repost it again to the Entity Seeker Facebook page so you guys can go through this. It is the neatest thing. I posted a little while ago. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I posted the Winchester house a little while ago, Winchester tour. And that was super neat. Paris Catacombs, you guys, you have to check it out. This is the coolest thing. And as I say, for those of you guys who don't travel, of course, none of us can travel right now, and who probably won't get to climb down into the catacombs of Paris. I think this is definitely for you. It was definitely for me. I thought this was the neatest thing. So as I say, we can do all this stuff online now, right? Like, this is a great opportunity. The other thing I was going to recommend to you guys, two things actually. One website that you guys can go to that is kind of a rabbit hole is the Psi Encyclopedia. Okay, so, and Psi being PSI. All right, so Psi Encyclopedia. This website is done by a journalist basically who have put together this incredible, comprehensive document, papers and history and all sorts of different things on the paranormal, on parapsychology. And this isn't the entertainment woo-woo stuff. This is the real deal. And the people that write into this are they're incredible. They're PhD. They have their PhDs. They're professors. They're just fantastic. So the Psi Encyclopedia, you guys, I highly recommend. Go and visit and just tour around. I mean, you don't have that much else to do, right? But it's a great comprehensive resource for people to learn about parapsychology properly, learn about the history of the last 100 plus years, you know, where this research has come and where it's taken us. So I highly recommend that one. The other thing that I was going to recommend to you guys is the Parapsychology Foundation, which is an absolutely incredible group of people. I have an online video library on YouTube. So Parapsychology Foundation, you guys just subscribe to them, and you will have a wealth of speakers and presentations and documents and all of that kind of thing from all over the place. So I highly check it out. They have done an incredible job. And as I say, they are the speakers. They are incredible speakers. They're you know, professors and university graduates and all sorts. And you guys can get to see, hey, wait a minute, like what is the leading edge of paranormal research right now? Well, Parapsychology Foundation has so much of that, so I highly recommend it. That being said, oh my gosh, I'm not running over right now. This is great. So I won't keep you guys. It is a wonderful Wednesday. I don't know what your weather is like here, but it is very lovely here. And I plan to at least open my window today and enjoy the fresh air and enjoy everything, just, you know, that I have in my nice little house here. And I think if we can take this attitude, give ourselves a break, okay, over the next little while, take the time to grieve about the things that are going on, treat this as grief, you know, and know that will pass, because everybody's experienced it and has healed from it, and this will be the same thing, okay? So thank you guys so much. Thank you for attending and chatting and everything. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, April the 4th, Ritual, Exorcism in Film and Television. I will be on that. We'll be presenting that on Crowdcast. So please check it out. It's on the Entity Seeker Facebook page as well. The event is there. So get your ticket for it. Don't wait till the last minute, or else you'll miss the first part of the presentation. So grab your tickets for that. I'm so excited to be presenting it. But as I say, it's not going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on Crowdcast, okay, guys? So it's a great platform. I'm so excited to be working with them. I hope I see you guys all there. It's at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, whatever that time is for you guys. But we're going to be delving into the crazy world of exorcism and the history of it, and where it comes from, and the true cases behind some of the major films like The Conjuring and The Exorcist and The Rite, and just some lesser known facts about some of this stuff. It's really cool. So I can't wait to present that for you guys. It's normally only at the comic expos. I usually do it there. But it was named one of the top 5 shows to see in Vancouver, and I was in February. I was really excited. I can't wait to be able to bring it to you guys. So that is on April the 4th, so that's coming up. And meanwhile, I will see you guys right back here tomorrow on Spiritual Healthcare. Thank you guys, and have an amazing Wednesday. Bye.